This episode is dedicated solely to answering viewer questions. Next on Talking Cars. Hi everybody and welcome to Talking Cars with Consumer Reports. I'm Tom Mutchler.
I'm Gabe Shenhar.
And I'm John Lincove.
On this episode, we're going to go through the mailbag. We're going to answer a bunch of questions. It's a questions-only episode. We love getting feedback from our readers, especially when it agrees with us. Perfect. So we're going to go through the YouTube comments and through Twitter and see what's there.
Terrific.
Understandably, we had a lot of comments about the show we did on the Tesla Model S P85D.
Shock.
You might have heard of it. We might have mentioned that we bought one and tested it.
Yeah, that was a small item.
Yeah, just a footnote. Yeah. So from Twitter, we got from Matt Boynes. At 19 minutes 45 seconds in Talking Cars, the CR team says that Model S buyers have another primary car. That's simply not true. We were discussing that. Jake was discussing that the Model S, most owners are going to have another car that if you go on a long trip, you could take the other car. It didn't really matter. Matt also said, we were going back and forth, Matt. He said, true, but it's about the same as any other big luxury car. What percentage of Mercedes-Benz S550s are in single car households? I think there was a lot of disconnect between us saying that the Model S isn't, I think we accidentally said it's not a great primary car, but it has the range to be your primary car.
It can be a primary car. It depends on your driving pattern. And if you're going long distance and you own a Model S, you're probably flying that distance.
Well, I mean, I think you could drive over 200 miles in a day, and
assuming
that you didn't have a supercharger station along the way. That is like where the Model S doesn't work. Is over 200 miles a day. There's not a supercharger station on the way.
You can make a Toyota Prius C be your single-use car if you want to live a cramped lifestyle. You can make anything be your single car. The Model S and electrics in general have some sort of pre-planning that you don't have with a gasoline-powered car. Fact is that. Gasoline car, you could get, so you have restrictions. You have to plan your life around the car a little more than a gas car.
I think the point, though, Jake was making is actually was defending the car. And that most Model S owners have another car.
Probably.
And a few of them have another Model S or another electric car. A lot of them have a gasoline-powered car that you could get in, and if you had to do that long trip, you could do it.
And unlike other electric cars that have a range of typically 70, 80 miles, the Model S can be a single family car.
Right, certainly.
It can. At the end, it's one of those things where it is more limiting. You're adding the extra 30 minutes at the stop, on top of a trip from here to DC. It just adds in more stops. You just have to plan.
It is more limiting, but in everyday life, when you're not taking those trips, you can usually it's usually fine. A lot of comments about the fact we had made some comment that you buy a normal car, you're not installing your own gas station at home. We made some sort of quip about that, and to be fair, that was a bit short. This is the most polite way this statement was made to us. As a Model S owner, I find many of your comments and observations to be spot on. The only thing I disagree with is the comment about installing a gas station at your house. This is without a doubt the best feature of the Model S and any electric car for that matter. It makes a lot more sense to spend 10 or 20 seconds each day to plug your car in or out rather than the old routine to drive to the gas station, swipe the car, fill up, drive home, and so on. Even if you just fill up on the way home from work, it's less convenient than simply plugging in at home. He's right.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and with a Model S, the thing to do is to get the $1,200 high-power wall connector and get the car charged whenever it's parked. Just top it off. It's like your iPhone.
Sure.
Yeah. Running out the night before to find a gas station that's open at 9 o'clock before a trip is a pain in the neck. Here you just plug it in. It's in your house. Yeah, certainly. It's easy peasy.
Yeah, it is nice. I mean, it is one more step that you're going to have in the ownership of this car when you do it once. It is an extra cost. I mean, there were some YouTube comments who were advocating, hey, look, you could wire this in yourself. I'm like, no, don't do that. That's not a good idea. But
and that's just a temporary inconvenience until we have wireless charging.
Well, I don't know if you're going to have wireless charging in your garage. Maybe. Someday. Actually, anything will happen someday. A lot of comments about how the car scored. The fact that the car scored 100, that it had broke the scoring system, which was 103. Monkey Kiss says, the Tesla Model S from 2 years ago tied another vehicle for the highest score, 99. I recall seeing a high-end Lexus vehicle score 99, so your introductory statement is false. I think he's referring to the fact that this is the top scoring car ever. The thing is, time moves on. And yeah, the Lexus LS 460 did score 99. 10 years ago, the Porsche Boxster scored 100. Nowadays, they wouldn't score that high.
Right, so we're not saying, we're saying that currently it's the highest scoring car in our test system, not mentioning, we're not saying that never a car scored a 99 in our scoring system.
There were cars that had great fuel economy when there was, 30 miles per gallon. It doesn't mean that that's always going to be the best scoring fuel economy. Like you said, time marches on, time moves on, things adjust.
Well, it's also, the reality is that a car that scores 100 now is a better car than a car that scored 100 10 years ago. It just is, because time has moved on. We expect more out of cars nowadays.
Certainly.
A lot of comments about how how the P85D scored. The cool thing about our comments is that when you read through them, there's so many of them that you'll find ones that have one side of the argument and ones that are completely on the other side of the argument. And that's what we have right here. Look, if you compare things on a common scale, then you either live with the scale range you started with or you adjust everything. Otherwise, your comparative score is no longer comparative. You can't go and change the rating scale for this car but leave it unchanged for everyone else. That's just not fair. On the flip side, the rating scale makes sense for consumers of normal average vehicles. No middle-class family buyer has money to buy a Tesla P85D. Mercedes GL, despite its price, makes sense because a family may splurge on a large, comfortable luxury vehicle to travel with or treat themselves. My argument sounds closed-minded, but that's just an example to cover a portion of it. I really like this summary of it. Bell curves, gentlemen, laughing out loud. Don't let the genius embarrass the 3.9 GPA child. Am I right?
Wow.
I love the way that's put. No, we talked about this on the last show, that we made a decision that, we could have changed the scores of every car to reflect this car, but that's not.
It's an outlier at this point.
It's kind of an outlier.
Yeah, it's a special case, exactly. It's an outlier. And, we haven't tested other high-performance luxury cars, and it definitely doesn't merit changing everything because of the P85D.
It also doesn't because, you have these other high-rated cars like Mercedes-Benz E250 diesel, the Audi A7 TDI. You have, these high-scoring cars that, they're really good cars. I love that. I know that comment about the 3.9 GPA child is tongue-in-cheek, but it's a great comment because you don't want to take away from the accomplishment of those cars for this outlier, for this car that very few people can afford, that is out on the fringe a bit. And
even as well as those score, they're still significantly or very strong, very good vehicles that are a little bit below them, and that you're not at those price ranges. You're at a slightly lower price range. You're still getting a very good vehicle. It's just not going to necessarily achieve the mileage of the A7 or the E-Class, They're hitting a target, and we're putting up a target and saying, "Hey, we reward fuel economy." Right. There's certain things that we have as a corporation, as a nonprofit that we're supporting. Safety, fuel economy are two of them. Cars that hit that are going to do very well.
Yep. Money.
Love it.
Yeah, money is good. It's a touchy subject, though, and this is a very interesting question. One thing evident is that the Consumer Reports staff doesn't get paid so well. Dodge Durango? Ha ha ha! Paid staff should not be rating vehicles on the speculation that if I had the money, what would I buy? Let's give the background. I own a Dodge Durango, which I said in the last episode. It's a $47,000 car.
When it was new.
When it was new, and I bought it used because.
So it's
You're smart.
$350 now, right?
That's right. What's that?
It's about $350 now.
hey, I need to resell that at some day. I'm very happy to own that car. But it raises an interesting question. Should only people who are able to afford a car like the Tesla be allowed to review it? Does that make any sense?
No, I think that brings in inherent biases of your at that level ability. You're looking at it through a certain tint of glasses, if you will. You know, just because we have a $41,000 MDX, does that mean that my ceiling is only the 35 to 45? You know, can't look at small cars, but can't look at expensive cars either.
You're not even worthy to judge my Durango.
I'm not, but I don't visit the dealer as much either.
Well, we're all qualified to review cars here, and regardless of what our personal life is and what we own, that's what we do.
There's something refreshing about, I don't have to justify my car because I paid for it. You know, and I mean, I think there's a human tendency to do that. Is I bought this car, I'm going to justify my own purchase. I don't have to justify a P85D because I didn't buy a P85D.
Well, we've heard people justifying their Pontiac Aztec purchases.
Well, you could get a tent and sleep in the back, so it's a very practical vehicle.
The best SUV ever.
It is. No, it's not. Let's move on to other questions. I'm looking for a fun, not front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and manual preferred four-door car that can fit in for adults. I used to have a 2005 Maxima V6 with a manual and a 2007 Camry V6 automatic. I'm about to graduate and start my first job. I'd like to buy a new car with a budget of about $30,000. Any good suggestions?
Yeah, sure. I'd go with the BMW 320i, the entry level of the 3 Series. Get it? Maybe
you're going to have to. You're going to have
it's going
to
to be maybe a little
no
more than
options.
Yeah, it's probably going to end up about $33,000.
Like you can't even
manual.
get metallic paint. It's like you better like white or red.
Yeah, that's okay.
There aren't many choices.
The YouTube
Rear-wheel drive.
Yeah, the YouTube folks recommended the car that's parked behind us, which is a Dodge Charger RT, which is a well,
Can you get it with a
you
manual?
cannot get a manual.
Right.
But it's fitting everything else.
Oh,
literally,
yes.
literally, it's fitting for adults
Yeah.
very comfortably. It's an enjoyable car to drive, especially with the Hemi.
Yeah, 300 or the Charger, you're set with those. Yeah, the manual is the
manual's
outlier,
the problem.
It's a very large car, though.
I mean, yeah, it's enjoyable in its own right, and I mean, and it's a very unique car in that there's not many old school rear drive sedans out there. I mean, the Chevy S that you can afford. I mean, the Chevy SS is a lot more money, although it's heavily discounted. Reputation, the rumor has it. The Hyundai Genesis is a different product.
It's a different kind of car. Yeah, he's too young for a Hyundai Genesis.
Wow.
Yeah, I would almost go. I would almost get an off lease. You open up your window a little wider. You know, if you're really even worried about something like a 3 Series or whatever with a certified one. I mean, that has its own minefield, but you just open up your window a little more at that price range.
I'm glad you said that. The thing about the internet is you often read these questions of what car should I buy, and you never find out what the person buys. I found out what the person bought, and I did not tell you guys in advance. I finally got a used BMW 328i, congratulations, Gabe, from one of my colleagues, 2012, 48,000 miles, Sportline, first owner for 22 grand. It's really well maintained, that powertrain is great. Test drove the Charger and WRX, like the Charger's roomy interior, but it drives like a much bigger and heavier car than the 3 Series.
And it is.
It is.
Yeah. Soon. I mean, 2 generations from now, the 3 Series will probably be this big, and they'll have a sub 1, 0.5 series in there.
Yeah, what numbers come below 1?
Yeah, well, we already have a 2, so I'll have the 0.5 maybe as the entry level.
And then the Charger will be smaller because it'll be based on an Alfa Romeo.
True.
No.
So everything converges.
This Mercedes platform, this ex-Mercedes platform is just fine.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that BMW. Hope it serves.
So we somehow did it. Used car,
We somehow
BMW
did
suggestion.
it by saying that in the future helped him pick a car in the past. So well done. CR, I have a question. I'm 17 and I have a 2005 Dodge Neon with 122,000 miles. I'm sorry.
That's a lot of miles on that
That's
car.
a lot of miles in that car.
Still alive, huh?
Yeah. With college a year away, I'm going to need an all-wheel drive vehicle. We have tons of snow in Pennsylvania. With more room, a slightly sporty drive, and decent amount of power, more than the 136 horsepower I have now. Really, in reality, that's about 72.
Yeah.
My budget is $10,000. My question is, should I buy my grandma's 2008 Dodge Avenger RT all-wheel drive 3.5-liter V6 with 28,000 miles with the lifetime powertrain warranty, or go with something more practical like a Subaru? I'm neither opposed to a small SUV or a larger sedan with all-wheel drive. Please help. Do you go with Grandma's Avenger?
I would, if I were him, I'd go for now with Grandma's Avenger.
If it's cheap enough,
That
it
is an
saves-
answer I did not expect from you. Why would you? Why go with Grandma's Avenger?
Well, it's the easiest, most risk-free kind of choice for him right now. I
Have you
mean,
looked at the reliability history of Avengers? Now, keep in mind, I own a Chrysler product, as we've discussed earlier. The quality of the 2008 Avenger was horrible. I mean, reliability is bad.
$10,000.
Yeah,
what else
your
you
window
got?
Yeah.
of solid all-wheel drive, snow-worthy cars at $10,000 isn't going to get you something. And if he's in Pennsylvania already, the cars have been exposed to how many winters? You know, they may have all-wheel drive, but I don't know if they all will be connected. You know,
Well, it's more how are the fender flares
well,
doing?
the fenders
rust-wise?
and you know the rust through. If Grandma's car's in good shape,
And
you
has
can get
good
it
tires.
even cheaper. Yeah, you know what? If she can give you a good deal, you know, maybe work her
Favorite
over a little
grandson
bit.
thing,
You know,
yeah.
get some good tires. You got the all-wheel drive. It'll be. I'm happy to hear someone's doing that instead of, you know, I'm going to college and I'm deciding between an STI and an Evo. You know, which one should I get? You
There'd be
know,
a clapped out WRX in there somewhere.
right.
yeah.
So I agree with Gabe. Reliability, it's a worry, but get with the Avenger. It's,
Well, I
it's a
mean,
known quantity probably.
The alternatives are a Honda CR-V, which is going to be probably 2 or 3 years older. It's certainly going to have more than
28,000
miles on
Yeah.
it. You can get a Subaru, which is starting to get to the point where you'd have head gasket
Exactly.
issues. And
Does the warranty transfer? I think it should
actually,
transfer.
that I'm a little concerned about. You have to check and make sure the powertrain warranty transfers to the
Transfers,
second owner. It
Chrysler
may-
played all kinds of games with
Yeah,
warranties over those
and
years.
It may get cut in half. There may be check the very fine
Fine
print
print,
of
yeah.
that.
Good point.
To make
Well,
sure that
leave it
carries.
registered on Grandma's name.
I did that. I drove Grandma's Buick Electra through college, which
Rumor has it. Not really.
great car for drifting, by the way. My mother is planning to buy a used mid to large SUV in the low to mid $20,000 range to replace a 2001 Honda Odyssey. She's the type to drive a car until it's no longer worth repairing, and she wants something reliable. She doesn't care much about fun to drive, but does prefer the steering feel of older cars. She's looking between the 2010 4Runner, 2012 Lexus RX, 2013 Highlander, 2013 Acura RDX. First of all, not the 4Runner.
Oh, of course not.
It's like one of these
That's a no.
things is not like the other game.
Oh, it's Sesame Street.
This one's a no-brainer. Go with a Highlander. Easy.
I was gonna say, I mean, if she's carrying around, I don't know if the person has kids, so is Grandma carrying kids around? I mean, get
Mom, yeah.
another Odyssey. You know, I mean, it's not in the list, but like, if she's happy with the one Odyssey, she's probably gonna be happy with another Odyssey.
that's
But
an
in that
interesting
list
point.
there, I would stay away from the RDX and I'd stay away from the 4Runner unless she's a weekend off-roader.
Yeah, I mean, the 4Runner is it's very trucky. They're very reliable, and they keep their value ridiculously well. But
right,
it's
but it's not the right car.
Yeah,
Midlife crisis for mom.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you. I'd go with the Highlander. It's just they are so reliable, and
Yeah, the Highlander is probably the closest to the Odyssey that she has already, so it's going to be the natural progression.
right. Next question. Here's a conundrum. We need a vehicle for our son who's a new driver, hockey goalie with a big gear bag, and he loves to stick shift on our 2005 Audi A4 wagon. We live in Seattle with rain and occasional snow on steep hills, so all-wheel drive would be nice. Do we go Dodge Challenger, Mazda CX-5, Toyota Tacoma, Subaru Crosstrek, off the board? Again, it's another one of these things is not like the other.
They want their Audi back, huh?
I would maybe
Aren't you ready to upgrade from your Audi and just pass it down?
throw a BMW i3 in there,
Yeah,
you know, or
yeah.
something. That's it. Look, the Subaru is going to be the one of that suggested list.
Yeah, I mean,
Not a stick, but
well, no, you can get a stick on the Subaru. It's not a good stick.
Yeah.
Subaru does not do
Or the
stick
Mazda
shift
CX-5,
well.
but then I think you're missing out the all-wheel drive.
That's right. You can get a front drive CX-5 with the 2-liter with the stick, which is actually a fun, inexpensive car. I would be very happy if I was
so he's a new
16 or
driver,
17 with that.
new driver, and he wants a stick on a hilly area.
Most cars nowadays have hill holders,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's not that bad,
Not those clutch issues.
right? I don't think Seattle gets that much
Can
snow.
you get a Honda HR-V with the stick?
You can,
You
but
can,
only
but
front
Only front
drive.
drive also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Seattle doesn't get much.
I'd rather
though.
have.
They just don't know what to do with it when it arrives.
That's right. It
Yeah.
just shuts everything down. Yeah, I'd rather have a CX-5 over a HR-V.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Last question.
Even a CX-3.
I don't think a CX-3 is stick,
No.
Nope.
which is odd. Last question from another person named Gabe.
Look at that.
In comparing the Scion IA, you didn't mention the Ford Fiesta. So I ask you if this new Scion is more fun to drive than the Fiesta 1-liter EcoBoost.
Not in my book.
Interesting. Jonathan?
No, I think
The Fiesta's handling
Fiesta,
is-
especially with the stick.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get used to the narrow power band and you know how to shift and when to shift, then you're going to have more fun in the Fiesta.
If you can do all these things to accommodate for the car's narrow power band, it's great. I don't know. You know, the Fiesta. Let me preface this by saying I've loved driving Focuses over the years with stick shifts. You know, underpowered or not a lot of power, stick shift, great handling, you know, steering. I love good steering. I think that the reputation of the Fiesta 1-liter EcoBoost as being a fun-to-drive car is overhyped. I do. I'm gonna say that. I think that engine is kind of cobby. It's not all that refined. The shifter isn't particularly good. The shifter in the keep getting these signs screwed up. The shifter in the IA is quite a bit better. That Mazda-derived shifter.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, it depends where you put the emphasis on. I mean, if you focus on the shifter, yeah, or the smooth power, maybe
Well,
the
there's not much power
Mazda-derived
from the
car
IA. I
is
mean,
better. But if you focus on the handling,
but is the
Fiesta's
steering
got
still
it.
that good? Because the Fiesta's been backing away over the years. It rides better and it's
pretty good.
quieter. There's
Right.
no question about that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Small cars don't necessarily fit me well. I always end up a little odd in the driving position, but I
You're
like the
Paul
Fiesta.
Bunyan-esque
I am.
stature.
My Tour de France physique here. But the Fiesta is just, that's a choice. It has a much better driving experience. You know, more enjoyable in my opinion. Just a little more natural feeling. You know, the Mazda-ness of the IA comes out.
Yes.
But some of that negative does as well, the noise and such as well, for me.
Okay, very good. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Talking Cars. As always, we thank you for watching. We love hearing from you. See you next time.